telling him she don't want to be nobody's wife. Chat, are we surprised? Let me break this whole thing down for y'all because this story is actually insane. Stay locked in, okay? So first, let's go back to the beginning because I need y'all to understand something. Klay Thompson was not playing around with Megan. This wasn't some little situationship. This wasn't a PR relationship. This man was locked in, like emotionally invested, like tell your mama invested. And get this, he had her around his family, his inner circle, the people closest to him. You don't just bring anybody around your people, right? Like that's a real step. That means Klay looked at Megan Thee Stallion and said, yeah, she's the one. She's meeting the fam. Brother, bro. And it didn't stop there. No, gang. Because here's where it gets crazy. This man named his boat after her. His boat. You know how rich you gotta be to have a boat and then name it after somebody? That's not flowers. That's not a dinner date. That's a vessel on the ocean with her name on it. That is commitment on a nautical level. I'm not even lying to you right now. What if I told you that Klay Thompson, one of the most low-key, reserved private athletes in the entire NBA, a man who literally lives on a boat and minds his business, opened up his entire world for this woman, his lifestyle, his family, his finances, everything. Y'all seeing this? That's not a man who's playing games. That's a man who caught feelings, real ones. And when you're an NBA player catching feelings, especially one who's already been through heartbreak before, that's actually a big deal. Klay don't just let people in like that. So for him to go this hard, she had to have had him in a chokehold. No cap. Okay, gang, let's talk about the money. Because this is the part that broke the internet, and honestly, it should have. So the rumor, and I want to be clear, this is what's been floating around, what fans have been saying, what the blogs have been running with, is that Klay was allegedly dropping $700,000 a month on Megan. 7 figures, monthly, recurring, like a subscription. Except the subscription was a whole human being. That's $8.4 million a year, bro. I did the math so y'all didn't have to. 8.4 million. You could buy a mansion. You could buy multiple mansions. You could fund a small country's infrastructure. And this man was allegedly just spending it on her. No cap, that's crazy. Now look, Klay Thompson is rich, right? He's made over $200 million in his NBA career. So technically, he can afford it. But that's not even the point. The point is, what was that money going towards? What was she doing with it? What was the return on investment here? And this is where it gets insane. Because while Klay was allegedly out here financing this whole lifestyle, Megan was in the studio rapping about being outside, about not wanting to be tied down, about not being nobody's wife. She was literally putting it in her music gang. She told y'all. She told everybody. Y'all heard the songs. You know what she was saying. She was rapping about staying free, living her life, being that girl that does what she wants. And Klay Thompson was somewhere on a boat with her name on it, thinking they were building something. Chat, I need y'all to really sit with that for a second. She put it in the music. That's a confession in 4/4 time with a beat drop. Let me break this down for y'all a little more because I think this part is actually the most wild piece of the whole puzzle. Megan Thee Stallion has built her entire brand around being independent, being a hot girl, being unbothered, living her best life outside the house, outside the relationship, outside the expectations society puts on women. And look, respect the brand, right? She's been consistent. But here's the thing. When you're in a relationship with somebody, when that somebody is spending potentially millions on you, when that somebody has introduced you to his family and named a boat after you, consistency starts to look a little different, doesn't it? Because now it's not just a brand, now it's a pattern. And the pattern was saying, loud and clear, I don't want what you're trying to give me, Klay. What if I told you the signs were there the whole time and Klay just didn't clock them? Or maybe he did and he thought love could change it. That's the heartbreaking part, bro. That's the part that actually hits different. Because Klay Thompson isn't some naive rookie. He's been around. He's experienced heartbreak before. We all saw what happened in his past relationships. So for him to go back in this hard, with this much energy, this much money, this much heart, he had to have believed in it. And she was out here making music about being free. That's actually insane, no cap. Okay, so, the cracks. Let's talk about the cracks because this relationship didn't just end out of nowhere. There were signs, gang. There were signs. People close to the situation, and again, this is what's been reported, what's been circulating, started noticing things were off. The energy shifted. The public appearances got less frequent. The social media went quiet. And you know how it is with celebrities. When they stop posting each other, that's basically a press release. And then boom, it's done. The relationship ends. And the internet? Oh, the internet went crazy. Oh my God, the fan reactions were something else. You had Klay fans out here furious, defending him at every corner. She used him. She was just there for the bag. He deserved better. And then you had the hotties coming right back with she don't owe him nothing. She was upfront about who she was, he knew what it was, and here's the thing. Here's where I gotta be real with y'all. Both sides got a point, like genuinely, because if the $700K a month rumor is true, and she knew she wasn't serious about it, and she was in the studio rapping about not wanting a relationship while he's naming boats and bringing her to family dinners, that's not great, right? That's not great at all. But also, and I'm being fair here, Klay Thompson is a grown man, a very rich, very experienced, very adult man. He made his choices. He spent his money. Nobody held a gun to his head and said, "Name this boat, sir." So where does the blame actually fall? Honestly, that's for y'all to decide. But what I will say is this. The optics are bad for Megan. Because whether she meant to use him or not, the story that's been written by fans, by blogs, by her own music tells one specific story. And that story is that Klay was more invested than she ever was. And that is why the internet said what it said. Y'all seeing this? So let's talk about the fans for a second, because honestly, the reaction was one of the most fascinating parts of this whole thing. On Klay's side, you had NBA Twitter rally around him. People coming out saying this is proof that athletes need to protect themselves, protect their finances, stop falling for people who aren't on the same page. There was genuine sympathy for this man, which, when's the last time NBA Twitter was sympathetic about anything? That's how you know it hit different. And then there were the people who brought up his history. Because Klay has dealt with relationship drama before. And people were saying, bro, how do you keep ending up in these situations? And that's a fair question, right? But it's also kind of unfair because the man just wanted love, gang. He just wanted love. On Megan's side, her base held it down. But even some of her own fans were like, yeah, this one's a little hard to defend. When the receipts are that visible, when the music is saying one thing and the relationship was supposedly something else, even the most loyal fans had to pause. The general public reaction was basically, wow, just wow. Because this wasn't some nobody. This was Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion, two of the most recognizable names in their respective lanes. And to see it end like this, messy, public, and with a $700K a month rumor attached to it, that's the kind of story that writes itself. So let's bring it all home, gang. Because here's what we actually learned from the Klay and Megan situation. 1. When someone tells you who they are through their ART, through their music, through their brand, believe them. Megan was never hiding who she was. The question was whether Klay was listening. 2. Money does not equal commitment. You can spend every dollar you have on somebody, and they can still not be where you are emotionally. And that's one of the coldest truths in the game. And 3, the internet never forgets. Those boat photos, those family introductions, that music, it's all archived, it's all evidence. And when the relationship ends, the internet becomes the jury. Klay Thompson deserved better. That's just my opinion. No cap.